Are you tired of trading time for money? Want to turn your passion into a paycheck? What if your job didn't define your worth? Discover the secret to making purpose-driven profits. So welcome to the High Point Talk, where we explore the intersection of life, leadership, and legacy. Here you will be encouraged, equipped, and empowered with personal, professional, and business tools that will help you and your business live well, wisely, and humbly. I am your host, Eber Mena, international speaker, trainer, coach, and transformational leadership. Today, we have a treat. We have my great friend, Ron Graziano, who is the founder of Proper Guidance, and he's an expert in scaling businesses. He is also a John Maxwell Certified Coach, team leadership development and strategic growth, a corporate leadership development facilitator, serial entrepreneur, mindset shift, and I cannot tell you enough about him. So this is what I like about him. He focuses on transforming your passion-driven venture into a thriving, scalable business with expert strategies and insights. And today we're going to be talking about 5 components to transition from employee to successful entrepreneur. Hello, Ron. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ever. Thank you so much for having me today. And you talked about me, and now I feel like I really have to kind of step my game up a little bit. So thank you for that amazing introduction.
You know, that reminds me of our friend and mentor, John Maxwell. By the way, guys, we have the privilege to be mentored directly by John Maxwell. And he says this, right? When we get introductions like this, it's almost like, who are they talking about? You know, like now I'm going to have to deliver. But now, Ron, you've been I have the privilege to call you my friend, but you have helping me a lot in the marketing area. And also, I'm a product of that mindset shifting that you've been helping me a lot, and I have expertise in other areas, but that's why I wanted to have you here. So you ready to dive into this, Ron?
Hey, let's go. Let's jump right in, both feet at the deep end, and we'll either sink or swim.
I love it. Okay, are you guys drop in the chat the statement, I'm ready. Okay, so if you're with us, let us know where you are watching us from, and just let us know that you're ready. Okay, Ron, so here's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you. You know, so I love your energy. I love your drive, your passion. So what sparked your transition from employee to entrepreneur?
So this is a great question. I get asked this question quite a bit, and part of my entrepreneurial journey was out of necessity. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs do it out of necessity. And a lot of times entrepreneurs are taking their side hustle to a full-time job. Well, why do we need a side hustle? Well, most of us end up needing a side hustle because we need supplementary income into our household. And that's what happened with me. So I left a very significant high-paying corporate job in the late 90s. So in 1996, I decided I wanted to be a police officer at 32 years old. And so I did that, and I pursued that, and I became a policeman. But what happened was, when I left my high-paying job in corporate America to become a policeman, I took just about a 50% salary cut to do that. So I needed to, now I prepared, my wife and I prepared for that transition to make the jump. And this is one of the things that we work with entrepreneurs with all the time. Entrepreneurs who are taking a side hustle to replace their primary income always ask, how do I level the scale? Well, you have to understand that the scale is never going to be leveled. You can get it as close as possible. It just depends on how much time do you want to put in. And that's the strategic part, right? That's the thing that people don't really take consideration of. But what I did was I became a policeman. I had a lot of time. It was the first time I've ever had a shift working job where I had hours on and hours off, and I had a lot of free time. And so I started my first business as a side hustle to supplement my income. And that's where I took my business acumen and my experience in working in corporate America to develop and run my business.
Wow. That's just, guys, see, I told you it's going to be powerful. So here's the thing, and this is one of the key questions that we're going to dive into today. So how did your mindset change during this process?
So, the mindset shift, as employees, we tend to get caught up in everybody else makes decisions for us, right? Our employer makes decisions for us. They make the first decision for us when we enter into the relationship. The employer-employee relationship begins with a job description. And in that job description, the employer has already decided for you what you're going to be doing on a daily basis. The employer has already decided for you what your performance indicators are going to be to measure success and results. There's a big shift when you make that shift and you leave that employee environment and become an entrepreneur. Because let me say this, entrepreneurism is not just about articles of incorporation, starting a company, getting a federal ID number and saying, look at me, I have the paper, right? It's the same thing like going to higher education, right? You don't just go to college and say, look, I have a diploma, now I'm great. Well, wait, I think, yeah, okay, different conversation. So, right?
Right.
So, getting the certificate, getting the document doesn't make it, it gives you the privilege to now try to do the thing that you said you were going to do. So making that mindset shift was really taking on what I had already been doing in my corporate life. So it was just being able to refocus and measuring backwards and asking myself this question: what skill sets do I already possess that made me successful in my life up until now?
Oh, hold on.
What were the things that I was already doing?
Repeat that question, please. And guys, if somebody's taking notes, make sure that you type that question in the chat, because this is going to be one of the first powerful questions that Ron is going to drop in this call right here. So what was the question? What
skill set do I already possess that's already gotten me results and has already helped me get to where I am today? Right? Nobody starts a business because they're necessarily bad at their job, right? Nobody does that. Right? If you're not doing great, if you're not a high performer in what you're doing in your daily life, then entrepreneurism is probably not going to be for you. And here's the thing we want to remind people of, right? So here's another little kind of like, you need to start again, shifting the mindset. The mindset shift is understanding that when an entrepreneur says something like, oh, it's really simple, to an employee, simple says easy. To an entrepreneur, simple does not mean easy. It just means simplifying complicated tasks down to a level that you can have consistency, because in order to scale your business, you have to have consistency in order to duplicate the process. And in order to duplicate the process, you have to scale. So you have to go consistency, duplication, scale. You can't just go from process to scale. You can't grow it if you don't have a framework of how it's supposed to happen, especially if you want other people to do it.
Wow. Consistency, application, scale, duplication, scale.
Consistency, duplication, scale.
Can
I touch on that for a second really quick?
Oh, absolutely. Please do.
All my entrepreneur friends, here's the other thing that I work with. So I got into the coaching business as a result of doing peer coaching. And here's how most of us will experience this.
Okay.
Hey, Ron, looks like you're having a lot of a success. How do you do that? How are you doing that?
Yeah.
Right. Our mentor, John, says that, right? John Maxwell specifically tells us about people that say, wow, how do I get what you have? They see John where he is today.
Yes.
And John says, are you willing to do the work to get the results that I have? Yeah. Right. So
are you willing to do what I did to get what I do now?
Exactly. Are you willing to do the work that I did to get to me where I am today? You can't just start off where I am today. Right.
Yeah.
And when I scaled my company from $30,000 in gross revenue in year 1 to $1.4 million in year 4. In 4 years, I took the company from a full-time company of $30,000 in gross sales to $1.4 million in gross sales in year 4. The scale was exponential. It was moving very quickly. And so, simplifying the task and breaking the task down into smaller bite pieces so that you can, because here's where I was going with this. Entrepreneurs sometimes feel that the people they hire are going to do the work the same way they do it, with the same passion, with the same commitment, with the same dedication, with the same loyalty. And that's just not a realistic expectation. And the first thing you need to do in that mind shift set is set the standard. And the standard we use at duplication level is 80%.
Okay.
80%.
Okay.
So when I create consistency in a process and then I duplicate the process as I'm testing the duplication, I'm measuring it against 80%. Because we want people that can get the same results, but do it their way.
Wow.
And they do it their way because people don't quit jobs, or people quit jobs. They don't quit purpose.
Yes.
And when we help them and we allow them to do it their way, then they have purpose and they help the scaling of the company. And that's a mindset shift, right?
Yeah.
That's a mindset shift.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Such a powerful thing right here. So Ron, in in our interactions and I, been learning a lot from you, and I have taken note of 5 specific things that I've seen that you've done. And one of those is risk tolerance, self-motivation, resilience, and you help me with that, adaptability, and that visionary thinking that you have. Those are the things that I've noticed about you. And in fact, in that risk tolerance, you don't only help me understand the risk, but the emotional capacity and pain tolerance that is required to be an entrepreneur. You coached me on that, and that was one of the most powerful sessions that you and I had, when you're telling me, like, what's your emotional capacity? How much pain tolerance do you have to be, navigating the entrepreneurship? But again, I have these 5 things, so I wanna be respectful of your time, but at the same time, I want to give my audience this gold nuggets that I can get from you. So, number 1, risk tolerance. How do you assess and manage the risk in all the businesses that you have?
So risk tolerance and risk management are actually 2 different things, right? Risk tolerance is how do you tolerate that there's going to be risks in the things that you're doing every single day. Management is how do I mitigate, how do I manage the risk to minimize the exposure to my business, right? Yeah. So tolerance and management are 2 different functions, but let's talk about the threshold that most entrepreneurs struggle with. They struggle with their risk tolerance threshold.
Okay.
Their risk tolerance threshold. So you can imagine that when I was scaling a business from I experienced it in real time. Taking my business from, I turned my annual gross goal into my monthly gross goal.
Wow.
And then I turned my monthly gross goal into my weekly gross goal. And then I started hitting days where my daily gross for that day exceeded what my annual gross goal was.
Wow.
Now, you can imagine that there was a lot of risk involved in doing that. And the way that I manage my risk tolerance is a very deep-rooted abundance mindset.
Wow. Very
deep-rooted abundance mindset.
Oh, by the way, now that you're saying that, this is exactly what our mentor, John Maxwell, is going to be talking about in our event that we have coming. I know that I have one here in Jefferson City where I live in my community, Live to Lead, and he's going to be talking about exactly about this. And you are going to be hosting one in your area. Can you tell us a little bit about, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but you just mentioned what our mentor is going to be talking about, so it's your fault. So very rooted in abundance mindset, and John is going to be talking about that. What can you tell us about a little bit of what John is going to be talking, and the Live to Lead? You're going to be our in-person speaker here in Jefferson City as well. So Jefferson City, Columbia, Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, get ready for Ron Graciano's coming to town. So tell us about that, Ron.
Yeah, so we're the same thing as you. You know, you're doing your Live to Lead there in your local community, adding value to thought leaders in your local community. I'm going to be doing the same thing here. I am going to be co-hosting with a good friend of ours, MJ Rodriguez, here in the Chicagoland area. We're going to be at Elgin Community College on November 14th, Thursday, November 14th. We're going to be packing the room with 200 realtors from real estate industry. We want to make sure that we're connecting with those people and helping them grow their business through this difficult time that they are struggling through. In January, we're going to do another one on January 20th. We're going to be doing Kick the Year Off. And our theme, I know what your theme is because I'm going to be speaking at your event.
Yes.
But our theme is going to be Aspire to Lead Well.
Wow.
And what we want to do is, if you can aspire to lead well, because as we know, one of our other mentors, Mark Cole, says, everyone deserves to be led well.
You got it.
Well, how do you do that? One of the things that I've done in my businesses for the last 30 years was I've connected the words with the action, because the words alone, it's great to say it, but if you're not doing it, and as we know, in John's book, Becoming a Person of Influence, the first chapter is all about having integrity in who you are and not living a life of duplicity. So if we could align those things by what I say is what I do is what I say, when those two things are joined, that's what we do. So in order to lead well, you need to aspire to lead others well.
Love it. And we're going to be putting this information there in the chat as well. So just make sure that you read the. So we stop in very rooted abundance mindset. And I think that this concept is a great diving board to get to the component number 2 that I was talking about, which is self-motivation. So connecting that abundant mindset, what drives your motivation as an entrepreneur, and connecting that with the rooted abundance mindset. So let's talk about.
Yeah. So, once you've got that abundance mindset working, you need to be able to motivate yourself. Again, as an employee, you're usually waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. And unless you, and even the CEO, right? The CEO of the company is not unburdened by not having anybody telling them what to do. The CEO of the company, if it's a public traded company, the shareholders, the board of directors are telling them what they want to go. The CEO of a privately held company, not a publicly held company, is the same thing, right? They are listening to all the other voices. And what are those other voices that the entrepreneur is hearing? The entrepreneur is hearing all those other people who have a financial relationship, an emotional relationship, a customer provider relationship. They're hearing all of that from all those other people, and then being able to be successful at motivating yourself and not waiting for somebody else to do it. If people often ask me, Ron, what is the one thing? And the one thing, first of all, is there is no one thing. It's an accumulation of things. There is no one thing. So anybody out there that's looking for the one thing, there is no one thing, because one thing leads to another thing, leads to another thing. If you're stuck on one thing, you're probably not growing. You're probably not growing, right? Because once you reach saturation, after saturation becomes fatigue, and fatigue causes drop off. So let me just say this. My superpower is speed. Moving with speed, and my self-motivation is the ability to implement very quickly. And I know you've seen this as we've worked together, and there's the time that you've known me as a member of the team. There's been a lot of times where you've seen me move from an idea to implementation very, very quickly, very quickly. And we just heard it again, going back to John Maxwell, because I want people to know that when you come to Live to Lead to see John Maxwell speak virtually, he is going to change your life. I promise you he will. He's going to give you actionable stuff. But, yesterday, when we heard him speak just recently, we heard him say that, the process of doing it. And if you give me a chance, I'm going to go to my notes right here. But this is what he said. This is the process. Test, fail, learn, improve, redo.
Yes.
that's the cycle, right? And for me, that cycle makes good sense to me because that's why I move with a great amount of speed. And that's my self-motivation. That's also what lowers my risk tolerance threshold, right? Or high, it increases it, right? I have a very high risk tolerant threshold. I'm willing to take a great, and listen, that is the definition of entrepreneurship.
Ooh, I want to.
The definition, give me a second.
I like that. That's so powerful. Yeah.
The definition of entrepreneurship is whenever I'm working with a side hustle or a startuppreneur, somebody who says, Ron, I have got this side hustle. I'm ready to start a business. What do I need to be ready to do? Here's what you need to be ready to do. If you are not ready to take an immense, I used to say great. The next word up, I think, from great would be immense, an overwhelming amount of risk with absolutely zero assurance of success, the chance of failure is greater than the chance of success. Ouch. That's the entrepreneur model. That's the entrepreneur model. So, and if you're not ready for that,
yes. So I think that if I mean, I'm sure you guys are listening, but if you did not get anything prior to this, if you need to get this, an immense amount, an overwhelming amount of willingness to take risk with zero assumption that you're going to get results, something like that, if I capture your thoughts. So in a way, it doesn't sound encouraged.
But zero, not even an assumption, zero expectation.
Zero expectation. So
of success.
Of success. So, and I think, Ron, is because sometimes what we have not grasped yet is that the failure is part of the success process. And as you were saying, it's not, everybody wants the magic pill, the magic touch. So give me that one thing, Ron, that you've done in your life so I can be just like you, right? And I know that, you know, you mentioned what John said too. And I was just in Indiana and I delivered a great keynote and I got great reviews. And, you know, the first question that comes after that is like, so how long does it take you to prepare the amazing speech that you just delivered, right? And my answer is my whole life. My whole life, because I, you know, when the opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. And once you're delivering, it's even later to try to figure out what you're going to do. So, wow.
We've had that conversation, right? We've had that conversation.
Yeah.
When people reach out to you and say, how can you get me that? How can you, well, wait a second. We can't have a 30-minute Zoom call and give you 30 years of my experience, trials, tribulations, intrepidation, you know, late night staying up. You know, when I was running the company at 1.4, 1.6, $1.7 million, ever my payroll was $300,000 a year.
Ouch.
Okay. Wow. That responsibility to write those checks every 2 weeks, right? So what's the self-motivation? The self-motivation is to improve and add value to every single person that I come into contact with. That's my motivation.
Yeah.
I want people to stop chasing dreams and start catching them.
Stop chasing dreams and start catching them. Man, do you have your book ready? Like, you got a lot of stuff that if you don't, you should just create some cards and start just selling them, man. Like that, you're dropping a lot of gold here. So let me connect this to this is number 3. So let's talk about resilience. So because whenever, you know, I know you now, again, I've been honored to be mentored by you and be coached in some areas. So I get you now, you know, but some people see you, you know, and then like, oh man, this guy's got it all figured out. And it seems like he's very confident and going to this, but you know, how do you handle setbacks and failures then? Because that's the
piece, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's the piece, the resilience piece, right? How do you become resilient? Because you know, my resilience is you know, deep in my DNA from 11 and a half years of active duty military service.
There you go.
So you know, having served 11 and a half years active duty military service, you know, I went on active duty at 17 years old. So my first 11 and a half years of my adult life, and we know that we are still developing our body, our mind, our character is still developing all the way up to between 23 and 25 years old.
Yes.
Right. That's why that's why we're confused sometimes when we send our kids off to college and they do bonehead things and we say, you're supposed to be an adult. They're growing. They're
Yeah.
still growing, right? The mind,
The brain is not fully developed. That you're talking
their
about the executive part.
intellectual
Yes.
their intellectual level is higher education, but their maturity and their decision
Yeah.
making, their executive functioning has not fully really created a foundation yet. So that's the piece, right? And the piece is that during those 11 and a half years of active duty, there was no it's quitting time, I've got to go home.
Yeah.
Somebody else can do it.
Yeah.
There was no, I quit.
Yeah.
There was no quit.
Yeah.
There was only do.
Yeah.
There was only do. Right.
And it seems like
one of
you told me this on one of our calls. It's like you have got to, that safety zone cannot be your option anymore. What did you tell me that on that call? You need to burn all the chips or something like that. Is that what you say? Like
all the boats, right?
Oh, the boats. Yeah, there's no going back.
Right. Burn all the boats.
Burn all the boats. I remember.
Right. And so where that came from is, in ancient time, that's what happened, right? When they went to Troy, right? And they had that battle, when they showed up, right? They burnt all the boats. There was no retreat. There was only one way. Once you hit the beach, we burned the boats because there was only one direction to go, that way, straight ahead. And that's my resilience. My resilience is there's going to be mishaps. There's going to be failures. There's going to be gaps and blind spots. But how quickly can you respond to them? And are you willing to let go of your ego and do what's right instead of being right? That's my resilience model. So if somebody asked, Ron, what is your resilience model? My resilience model is I always go back to what's the right thing to do to serve my business, As an entrepreneur, I look at my business as an infant, right? When as parents, and we have that first baby, that infant comes home and that infant is 100% reliant on you. Your business is the same exact metaphor. When you launch that business, the success of that business is 100% reliant on you. And when the baby cries, the baby doesn't care if you didn't sleep. The baby doesn't care if you had a bad day at work. The baby doesn't care if you had a flat tire today. The baby does not care. The business does not care. The business it's not an emotional thing, right? It has no emotional logic. The rent has to get paid. The power bill has to pay. The taxes got to get paid. The vendors have to get paid. You have to deliver the service and the promise that you committed to.
Ouch. It's painful what you're saying, but it's the truth. It's the truth because, and that's the thing, right now, very well, we are flooded with a lot of information and a bunch of really cute things on Instagram and all of that. And, this overnight microwave things, right? But I appreciate that you are telling us the truth, the real thing. And that's why I go back into what you were talking about, and you help me with this. It's like, develop that emotional capacity, that pain tolerance, that resilience. There's where it comes from. But you have got, and that's why your forte is mindset, because you need to tell yourself, there's no other option. I had to press forward. Like you say, like I don't want to parent today, so I don't want to pay the bills today, right? Like you're saying in the business, it's painful. So with all the stuff that's going on here, and let me go to this other part here, and we're getting close to our end here to this, but I mean, thank you so much. And one of the things that I've been thinking about that is required is agility, right? The ability to kind of bend to where we need to go, and that goes with in a way adaptability. So can you share a practical example of how you've been adapting, or how have you have to deal with changes in your own business as you've been experiencing different areas, lanes where you've been successful, so give us an example of that agility, adaptability that you have to navigate.
A great example would be COVID.
Mm, that's it.
Up until March 4th or 5th, whatever the day it was, up until that date, if you would have told me in the United States that our greatest competition was going to be the government, I would say you're crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy. We have a capitalistic model of economy, right? Our economy is based on you can be as great as you want to be. You have to comply with requirements, but nobody's going to ever tell you that you cannot. No, the government is never going to tell you what hours to operate your business, who you can let in your. The government would never do that. They would never do that. That happens in third world countries.
Exactly. Exactly. Boom.
That was the first time, for the first time, that I really had to dig deep and ask myself, can I fight the government?
Wow.
Can I fight the government? And here's what I did. I didn't fight the government. I did what I've always done. I learned the rules. When people challenge us and we're deficient in a specific area, they make us stronger. They make us stronger because we have to educate ourselves. We have to become better prepared in the moment. And COVID, that's what COVID did for me, right? COVID said, okay, Ron, you've done all these things, but now here's these new lane markers, right? As an entrepreneur, there are no lane markers. The boundaries are endless. There's no ceiling. There's no end of the road. There's no right and left markers. It's endless. And in that moment, we had to transform our business. So just think, I also own a brick and mortar martial arts business. So just think what it would be like to suddenly a business where your primary method of delivering service is seeing your customer one-on-one in a group setting 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you're told you can't see your customers in person.
Wow.
So what we did was we shifted and now what it said was, it didn't say that as the owner and the operator, I couldn't go. So that was the thing. A lot of people read into it and they just laid down and died and they just laid down and quit, right? What we did was we looked at the requirements and we adapted to what we could do. See, we were focused on what we can do. So many people during COVID were stuck on what we can't do, what we can't do. And I challenge entrepreneurs this as well. When you're encountering your customers and you're encountering other people in your business and you're thinking about growing your business, it's so easy to say no. Remove no.
Yeah.
Every single thing that you deal with in your daily life as an entrepreneur, find a way to yes.
Wow. I like that. Say that again, please.
Find a way to yes. Every single thing you do in your business.
Yes.
And this is where I feel servant leadership gives us the ability to have transformational encounters and not transactional. Because when you're doing transactional, it's really easy to say no. But if you're committed to transformational leadership, then you find ways to say yes. And that's what we did in COVID. So let me just tell you, we took our business in a matter of 48 to 72 hours. We transformed our business and we set up 3 different studios, 3 different Zoom studios in our business.
Wow.
And we delivered over 250 martial arts classes in a 10-week period.
Wow.
Over 250 martial arts. We stayed on the same schedule. It was one of the only things that our families were experiencing during that time that were consistent, that did not change. We had belt promotions on time. How do we do it? We drove around. We did it socially safe. We told parents ahead of time. We communicated with them. We did a lot of stuff in our Facebook groups. We had meetings. We had Friday night meetings with the parents and the coach, right? So we did all of these. We found a way to say yes. Are we going to have promotions? Yes. How are we going to break boards? We'll bring them to your home. How are we going to hold the boards? We held a session on how to hold the board. Everything that needed to be done, we found a way to say yes.
Wow. And and the other option was, oh, the government, blaming, in other words, blaming and play the victim, and then just sit down and see what happened. And we know that, it's been said that hope is not a strategy. So I mean, you're not gonna get any results with that. And what an amazing thing! And wow, teaching via Zoom. There goes creativity. There goes innovation. There goes mindset. Really, once again, you bring us all the time to this. Okay, so I got one more question that I want to ask you, but once again, I want to tell my audience this: we are going to have Live to Lead here in Jefferson City, and the theme is raising the leadership bar. Be a transformer, not a conformer. And that's what Ron pretty much is teaching us right now. How to transform environments. That's what he says. I'm not about transactional leadership. I'm about transformational leadership. And this event is a personal, professional, and team leadership development event that we're going to have, and we want you to be part of it, and I want you to meet Ron in person. He's going to be here with us in the Jefferson City area, and it's going to be an amazing event. So make sure that you buy your tickets. I'm going to be putting the link in the comments there, and in fact, I think let me see if I can do this really quickly here before we're wrapping this up. And hey, look at this! I found the flyer. Here it is. So this is the event we're gonna have. Live to Lead. We're gonna have John Maxwell virtually, Michael Jr., John Gordon, Chantel Lowe. It's gonna be Friday, October the 25th, and then we're gonna have 4 in-person speaker. And check this out. Look the right bottom part of this amazing flyer. There is Ron. He is confirmed that he's coming to Jefferson City. Josh Varner is going to be talking about managing the unmanageable. Laura is going to be talking about well-being related to how to stay healthy in the marketplace. Ron is going to be talking about mindset, similar to what we're talking today. And I'm going to be obviously focusing on raising the leadership bar, and I'm going to be talking about metamorphosis. That is transformation. And so those are the topics that we're going to be covering. So thank you, Ron, for this amazing time. We got a few minutes here left, but let me ask you this other question, because I love this. Give our audience that amazing way that you have. You are a visionary thinking. I like it. And not only visionary, but you innovate. You find your way to say yes. That I took note of that, and you live it. So tell us this, what is it that entrepreneurs can do to capture that visionary thinking for our successful business leaders like you. So what do you envision your business doing in the future? I know that I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but I know that you kind of can transition right now. But what does your business look like? What is the next thing for you? What is the next chapter? And share your vision, and also tell us how we can get that vision within us as well, so we can develop our own businesses. So this is your visionary thinking.
Yeah,
what is next? So
that visionary piece for me, the visionary piece for me is again something that I'm constantly listening. I listen to Audible quite a bit, and I'm probably usually listening to between 3 to 5 books at one time. But I heard it again yesterday in the book Becoming a Person of Influence, and one of the things that they talk about in this book is understanding that seeing the good in everything, right? Being a good finder. So become a good finder. And the visionary thinking behind becoming a good finder is, I know for sure the single strategic thing that I do when I'm growing a business, when I'm launching a business, and I'm thinking about a business concept, is I immediately look for the list of difficult things.
Okay.
What is difficult about doing that business? What are my competitors doing? What are competitors in that space doing? And what are the things they're not doing well? See, I don't try to replicate the things that they're doing well. I look for the blind spot. I look for the thing they're not doing well. And then I ask myself why. And then I ask myself, how can I do the things that they're not doing well so I can differentiate myself? And then I do the difficult work. And sometimes doing the difficult work is accepting the complaints of other people. What are other people complaining about in the business space? And then I listen to those things. And then I think, what can I do? What would I do if that was my customer, if that was my relationship with that person? And what would I do if I was the widget company and I heard somebody complaining about their widget, right? I don't say, oh, I have a better widget, because I don't know if I do or don't, but I say, what would make the widget better? And then I ask myself, why is the other widget company not already doing that? And probably the answer is because that's the difficult thing. And then I say, wow, can I do the difficult thing and provide a better widget?
You know, I'm laughing right now, but because I'm thinking about this, okay? Because you're just pretty much connecting everything. You know, you find a way to say yes, and leadership is about solving problems. I mean, if you're not solving problems, then you're in the wrong business too. Like, you should just go find something else to do. And that analogy that you're using about the, I find the first things you do is you find the list of the most difficult things, the blind spots. And so when you're saying that, you see my wall, I have different instruments there on the wall. I'm a musician. I play a lot of instruments. And so I have used this analogy. So I have been asked on the spot to join a band on the stage to play, because they know I can do that on the spot. So what I do, though, is right before I say yes and I go up, I notice what instruments are being played. And because I have the skill to play several instruments, I play the one that is not being played. Even if it's the triangle, I'll be okay. Because you're saying, I'm willing to do what nobody wants to do. Because if we use the analogy of a music band, everybody wants to be the electric guitar player. Carlos Santana and Eric Clapton, and or they want to be the drummer because it's the one that is making the biggest note or the louder note. Nobody wants to nobody want to play the triangle, right? Because that's that. But I'm willing to do it. That's what you're saying right there. I find the list of most difficult things. I find the blind spots. I do the difficult things no matter what. What would it take for this? Okay, so here's the question for you as we're wrapping this up.
Can I just connect that to one more thing, though?
Yeah, please.
Once I find the difficult thing, then I test it against my value system.
Oh, powerful. I'm glad you interrupted me. Yes.
Because I refuse to compromise. See, I don't do the difficult thing just for monetary reward.
Yes.
Right? I identify the difficult thing, and then I ask myself, is doing that difficult thing, is it aligned with my value system?
That's the powerful question.
Is it aligned with my value system?
Yes.
If it's the difficult thing, it's meant to help somebody. It's going to make somebody else, it's going to solve a problem that exists, and it aligns with my value system.
Yeah.
Then we do it.
Bingo.
If it doesn't align with my value system, in the process of doing that difficult thing, it's going to be in conflict with my value system. It's not going to allow me not to do the words, but do the actions, right? So I don't say that my values are not integrity, perseverance, humility. That's not my value system. My value system is I do the right thing when no one's watching. I accept that life is going to be difficult, right? So I have determination despite difficulty, right? I'm willing to learn from everyone, right?
Mm,
Those are my value. That's my value system. It's not just the words. It's not just integrity, perseverance, and humility. That's not my value statement, because
okay.
you can't live that. So I want to know the life that I'm living, and how can I align the difficult thing with my value system. And if I can't, then I scrap it and I move on to the next thing.
And that what I see that is that that's what gives you this drive that you have, the energy that's so contagious that you bring to a room, because I've seen you in all of those environments now and in all those settings. And so what you are saying is this case, okay, it's not that just, okay, I'll do the dirty work so I can make more money. It's about, okay, once I identify the list, once I see the blind spot, once I'm willing to figure it out if I can try, because I don't know if I have the skills, then you put it through the grid of, okay, here's the list of values. And if that is aligned with my values, not if this thing is I'm going to align my values to whatever project is this company, is this organization aligned with my values, then you get the go, and then you're happy, you're not complaining, because you already know what you're getting into. And I really like the way you're defining your own values, because you say, I tested against my values. And once clarity breeds confidence, and then confidence, if you have the competency, no wonder you delivered in a way that is really really good, really. Okay, so this is the last question. I'm gonna ask you one more question, and then I want you to close with this. Okay, give us what are the three things that you want to tell to those employees that are looking to make the entrepreneurial leap. Okay, so but I'm gonna ask you one question first, and then leave us with those three thoughts. You say, look at the camera with that deep look that you have borderline intimidating. As you say that in your disc workshop. By the way, you're gonna be doing a disc workshop or something. Would you want to talk about that really quickly? Give us the 30
Yeah, so we're
second commercial about that.
Yeah, we're doing a disc workshop live. So again, at the LG Community College, they have an amazing small business development center there. If you have a local community college, most local community colleges have small business development center. They're government funded at the federal level and at the state level. And we're doing a disc workshop in Elgin at the Elgin Community College this Friday, September 20th at 8:30 in the morning. But it doesn't matter when you see it. Just know that, seek out self-improvement, because professional and personal growth, it's never ending. It doesn't stop.
Right. Thank you. So here's the question: what makes you uniquely better?
What makes me uniquely better? I've lived my entire life in a servant leadership role. I've taken the oath multiple times. And so, philosophically and methodologically, um, at the core, I think that's what makes that's the unique thing,
Okay.
is that I'm compelled and driven to serve other and put other people's needs ahead of my needs. And I think that's just something I've been doing at a very young age. I remember like my first aid class, like the idea that if somebody else was bleeding, that if I had the wherewithal, if I had the intestinal fortitude, if I had the ability to stop somebody from bleeding, that would make them feel better. That made me feel better. That made me that gave me a purpose in that moment. And so that's it, right? I think just the level of commitment and the willingness to I can't walk past somebody. I can't drive past somebody who needs help. I just can't do it. It's not in my DNA. And I think in today's world, I think that's something that's even at putting myself at risk.
Wow. That's powerful. I mean, I really don't have anything to add other than receive what you just gave us right now. So give us those three things that you will tell to that employee that is thinking about, I'm gonna make the crossover from employee to entrepreneur.
So I would say, I would apply the three questions that I ask everybody that says, "Hey, Ron, I think I want to work with you. And I want to make sure that we manage those expectations, and the expectations are mutually agreed upon, and then we have measurable results of those expectations." But the three things that I would say is, be coachable. Are you coachable? Because you're going to have to learn. Even if you have an amazing, innovative idea, you're going to have to take coaching from other people. Okay.
True.
Are you willing to do the work?
Yeah.
When you start your business and you go from go from side hustle to startuppreneur, in the beginning, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be cool. You're not going to have a boss. You're going to tell people, look at me. I own my own company. What do you do? I'm a business owner. Look at me. I own my own company. I'm my own boss. Right. But there's going to come a time where it's going to become difficult.
Yeah.
And are you willing to do the work ahead of time? Are you willing to make a commitment? Are you willing not to say, I'll do what it takes, but are you willing to do whatever is necessary?
Ooh.
Those are two different things. Not whatever it takes. Am I willing to do whatever is necessary? So are you willing to do the work? And the third one is, are you willing to put the time and resources into making the company successful? Do you understand that your life is going to change? And are you willing to get up and feed the baby, no matter when the baby needs to be fed?
Wow, that's powerful. And you will not say this because I'm your values and I get to know you, but I'm gonna say it. Okay, if you want to get mad at me, it's okay. We'll figure it out later. Okay, Ron, thank you for your time. You fit the description of one of our mentors' latest book, High Road Leadership. And I want to thank you personally, publicly, for being a person who give more than it takes, for being a person that people's agenda is more important than your own agenda, for being that person that you value all people, for being that person that you welcome disagreement, but you always respect people, and for being that person that you really want to serve others. So I thank you so much. I'm blessed to be your friend, and I appreciate what you're doing. And friends, please come to our event, October the 25th, Live to Lead in Jefferson City. Ron's gonna be here. And also, I'm going to be putting his information in the chat. And please make sure that you go and follow him on social media. He's got some great videos, great content, and amazing things that he's always doing. So thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to our friends here. And I hope that we added value to you through this. And thank you, Ron, once again. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your mentorship, the mentoring, everything that you do to me and all that. So thank you so much. And I'll see you next time, friends. And stay tuned for more things that are coming. Be well.